Hey everyone, it's Hot Alpha Female, and today I have a special clip for you. Recently I did an interview with Marni from the Wing Girl Method, and she has been working with some of the top dating attraction experts and coaching men on how to attract women for the past 7 years. So I find her advice very straightforward, very real, very honest, and incredibly insightful. So we got together, we did an interview, and here is a little snippet of what we talked about in the interview. And in the next 12 minutes we're going to cover things like, we re-sparked that idea of how important looks are to women, like truly, and you're going to get another woman's perspective on that. We're talking about the difference between what a woman will say typically to you and what she will actually do, which is usually two very different things. And also we'll cover two of the worst things that you could ever call a woman, and how that really impacts her and affects her. So I'm really excited. You guys are going to love it. You can also check out Marni's website, winggirlmethod.com. I'm going to leave some links up on the video so you guys can have a look. Enjoy, leave your comments, and I will see you guys in a couple of days. Bye. I recently came out with a video, and it was titled How Important Looks Really Are to Women. And so I basically talked about, like, for women, it's the experience of how she feels with a man that she's attracted to. So if she has this experience where she's like a bit excited, she's like, you know, but she feels really good about herself and she feels really attracted to him, then she's going to want to spend more time with him. She's going to want to be with him more. Yeah, and so, and when I was explaining this, I got a lot of comments, and these were guys who were pretty much projecting the importance of looks like to them for women, and they were projecting that same importance for women.
No.
And it's totally, like, not true. So,
No.
I don't know, back me up here. Like, how important...
No, I totally agree with you. Sorry for cutting you off, but I completely agree with you. I always say, yeah, of course, in the first 5 seconds when a woman has nothing else to go on, yeah, she's going to be into your looks. She's going to be judging you completely on your looks because she has nothing else to judge by. And then I always say what happens is within the first 20 seconds of you talking and interacting with a woman, your face really starts to mold. And depending on the character that you're showing this woman and what you said about the experience that you're giving her, which is like leadership, your face changes. You become either more attractive or you become less attractive. Like I was out with I tell the story a lot. I was out with one of my girlfriends at a bar, and she was like, oh my God, that guy's so hot over there. And he looked like an Abercrombie model. So he was super hot. And I was like, well, go talk to him. It's like, no, I can't talk to him. So I tapped him on the shoulder. I'm like, this is my friend Jessica. We are having a nice conversation. So Jessica, said her name. But anyway, so she got up. Anyway, her name's Tracy, actually. And so she got up and she went to go sit down beside him and came back 5 minutes later, and she goes, oh my God, that was the most dull person I've ever met in my life. I do not find him attractive anymore. And that is really how we think. Like, she said he had nothing to say, he had no personality, he was not leading in the conversation. He was very pretty to look at, but she's like, after a couple of minutes of talking to him, she's like, I was bored out of my mind and started like looking around the room for other people to start talking to. And ultimately, he was unattractive to her. So yeah, Abercrombie model, I'm sure if somebody wanted to have sex with a pretty person, they would have sex with him. But for attraction and actually connecting to somebody, I don't think looks matter that much. I mean, you can't be a complete slob who drools all over himself, hasn't gotten a haircut in 8 years, dirt under your fingernails, or whatever. You can't not take care of yourself because, well, even though some people are attracted to that, but, you still have to present yourself well. But looks aren't everything. We're not so obsessed with 9s and 10s the way that a lot of men seem to be. She's a 7. She was a 6. I don't even know what that means in terms of men. He was great. I was attracted to him. That's how I rate a person.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think that's what women don't start going, oh yeah, he's a 6.5 or he's a 6.25. Yeah. Like, we're just like, okay, do we like him? Do we not like him? That's pretty much our 2 options.
Exactly. Or, oh, he was such a boy. I really want to be with a man. Or, he was like over the top nice and all over me.
Yeah.
Things like that. That's how we evaluate. And if you see what we're saying, we evaluate more on personality than on a person's looks.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think maybe where these people are getting wrong is, like, the difference between, okay, physical looks, so, like, okay, height and weight and hair color, and then actual presentation of what you have.
Right.
which is
Right.
what you were mentioning. You know, you can't be a complete slob with dirty fingernails and never had a shower before in your life and expect women to ooze all over you.
Exactly. And you know what? Some of those guys can. When I was younger, some of those people who didn't care about how they dressed or whatever, I was totally all over. But it was based on their character that I was attracted to them. Like you'll see it all the time. You'll go to a mall and you'll see like a really hot girl with like this guy who is fat and doesn't dress well or whatever. Like it, that's what you see out there. We're attracted to a character. We're not attracted to the way that a person looks for being with somebody. That's different. And there are some women out there who are totally focused on the way that men look, and on their list of priorities are he has to have chiseled abs. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that that's only what she'll go for. It's what she wants in her ideal mind, that she would like to be with somebody who has a really fit body, but I will guarantee that if somebody else comes along, a guy with a really strong character that she's attracted to, who has a little bit of chub on his tummy, she would have no problem with it. And then she'd probably whip him into shape after they got together, but it would not matter to her. Women, this is my belief, that women go on what they're feeling rather than what they're seeing.
Yes, yes.
So
And
exactly what you said about the
often,
experience.
well, and often if you speak to just a normal woman who isn't aware of this, she'll be like, "No, I really need a man who, has abs." And then
Yes,
2 weeks later, the same woman you see with a guy who doesn't look like he had abs ever, like in his life.
exactly. Oh, I get so frustrated sometimes because when I talk to my female friends and I tell them, like something that a man could possibly do that I've heard in the pickup artist community, and I'll say like, would you ever get into that, or would you ever give into that? And they're like, no, I would never. That would never be what I would do. And then I'll arrange for her to be put into that situation 2 weeks later, and she'll totally give into it. That's the
Oh
whole
yeah.
thing. Like, for our pride, we don't want to say that we would give into it, but there are certain things that we would do or we would say. I know lots of girls who say they wouldn't have a one-night stand, who I'm sure in the near future will have a one-night stand
Hmm.
if they are interacting with the right guy.
Yeah, they just didn't think they would, but really they will.
Yeah, exactly. It's just interesting to me. It's just the way that you want to perceive yourself, right? So that's why you would say, yeah, I would never do that. Or that's just how the world,
Well, for women, it's a lot about saving face as well. I mean, no woman wants to be
yeah.
called a tramp or a slut. I mean, these are just like the worst things you could ever call a woman, or a woman or a friend, a woman could be said to. So they're going to do things that make them appear to be, less sexually promiscuous than
No,
they really want to be.
I completely agree with you. Those are the worst words. And I will say that when I was growing up, I was mainly friends with guys. And those words are probably what turned me into a huge prude when I was younger, because
Hmm.
I would hear guys talk about girls that they had sex with or they fooled around with. And
Hmm.
I never wanted to be one of those girls that was talked about that way. So for me, I was like the kissing bandit up until the age of 18, 19, even 22.
Yeah.
I was just so afraid of anybody ever turning around and calling me a slut until I realized that it was actually in my control, and that if I was going to be a slut, I can let him say whatever he wants to about me. But if I was in my own mind, if I was having an amazing sexual experience that I was in complete control of and choosing to be a part of, yeah, then I wasn't a slut. It didn't matter. But when you're younger, it's hard to see things that way.
Yeah, yeah. And so going back to this idea of presentation, so say all the women, like say before this guy has opened his mouth,
Yeah.
um, what is a woman like? What does she look for? What grabs her attention? Is it the clothes? Is it his posture? Is it his energy? Like, what about his presentation can a guy improve to just help him create more of that instant attraction, so then he can back it up with his personality?
Well, it's everything that you just said. It is the way that you dress for yourself. Like, if you do have a little bit of chunk around the middle, then don't wear shirts that are hugging your chunk, or don't wear oversized shirts that make you look like an obese person. Like, learn to dress properly. I'm not even going to throw out any advice on style. I can tell you if it's right, but I actually work with this amazing stylist who works wonders on men.
Uh-huh.
But actually, I can, if you want, I can give you her information as well. But
Yeah.
she's just awesome. So it is about, working with your style. It's not about wearing nail polish and carrying lunch boxes around as a purse and wearing a big boa. You don't have to peacock to that extreme, unless it's you and unless that's what you want to do. But just, putting yourself together well is definitely important. It's the energy that you emit to somebody else. And it's the way that you walk up to a woman. If you're walking up to a woman you know, with your shoulders shrugged, with making no eye contact, with expecting her to be the leader and make things comfortable in the first 5 to 10 to 20 seconds, then you will be shut down instantly. The thing is that a woman will be nice. Most women will be nice, and they will
Yes.
give you 10 minutes of their time sometimes. Like I know that I do. I even go to an extreme because now I'm so sensitive to it, but it's just, we don't want to feel more masculine than you.
Mhm.
We don't want to be the leader. We want to be a woman. We want to feel feminine, and that's what we're looking for in interactions. And, having great style is wonderful. That's one part of your game or whatever it is that of your skill set. Having a strong body language and making eye contact is great. Being comfortable with touching is even better. And being
Mhm.
able to walk away with strength is unbelievable.
Yeah, it reminds me of this one particular guy that I know, and I mean, really not a physically attractive guy. Like just, like bigger, very weird jaw thing going on. Like it was just not, you're not going to see him anywhere in like a catalog or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing was he had really clean nails. He actually dressed very well. He always wore kind of interesting shoes. He always did his hair. He always smelled great. And when you spoke to him, he engaged you. Like he challenged you, he engaged you, he gave you direct eye contact. He moved with
Sounds sexy.
intense. Yeah. Oh, it was just, I was actually a bit beside myself for the first 10 minutes because I didn't know what to do. Like, I was like, okay, well, he's not attractive, but I'm attracted to him. So what's going on here? And
Yeah.
that's the thing for like a woman, like, attraction for a woman, it's like once you're attracted to a guy, like you're screwed. Like there is nothing you can do
Yeah.
to like
It's
stop it.
true.
Like, and if you can trigger that as a guy, I mean, you've got it made. Like, and if you can continually create that state in her, I mean, you're pretty much home.
I completely agree with you. I've had that as well. Like I've always had crushes and been attracted to men that are like that, where, they weren't an obvious good-looking guy. I never liked the obvious good-looking guys because then a lot of them, listen, I'm not going to stereotype, but a lot of them were just really dull because
Yeah.
they didn't learn to have to use anything else.
Yes.
And it kind of screwed a lot of guys who were really attractive when they were younger and then, maybe they didn't develop their social skills, which is, it's needed a lot more when you're older and interacting with women. Just being hot, couldn't carry you that far. But I
Yeah.
was always attracted to those guys who, weren't overtly attractive, but as soon as you start talking to them, you're like, oh my God, you're so hot. And then obviously other women felt exactly the same way, which made them even more appealing. And then competition over it. Yeah, it's like, it's not about looks. This person becomes so attractive to you. And it happens to men as well. The women that they end up being with become more beautiful in their eyes because of their personality. It's just that's not our driving force. Our driving force is not to be with the most attractive person in the group. They want to be with the best guy in the group. And the best guy in the group is the person who believes that.